We could be live. We are live. How exciting. Oh, welcome to another exciting Thursday afternoon, where this time I have all the technology sorted out. She says, glancing at her phone to check that no one's waving their hands again. We are going to have a really good session today because I've got some great things lined up for you. Let's have a look at what we're going to be covering on today's live stream. Like last time, we are going to be looking at the following topics. We're going to be looking at task of the week. Then we're going to do a bit of a reporting spotlight. This pun is still funny enough for me, so we'll do from our own correspondence, where we go through some tickets that we've received on our help desk over the last week or so and solve them for everyone. And then we're going to look at what's new as well. So let us see what task of the week is this week. And this week we are going to add a review. So a review is the sort of data that can actually happen throughout the whole life cycle of a product. Oftentimes, we get a lot of the data all sorted out nice and early before publication. But with reviews, hopefully they keep on coming as word spreads, sales grow, and more coverage happens. So you'll have to come back to Consonance, keep on coming back and keep on adding your reviews so that Consonance can then send them out in ONIX feeds to retailers, distributors, data aggregators, and anyone else who'll take a feed from you so that the word can spread. It's a big investment to try and get review copies. It's review copies into people's hands. You have to sometimes send a physical product. You certainly have to nurture relationships. So yeah, may as well get the most commercial value out of all of the effort that we're putting in. So what I'm going to do actually for this is go to my real account on Consonance. Bit odd, isn't it? But if you don't know, I run Snowbooks, which is a small UK independent publisher, and that's kind of Consonance's origin story because I needed a system to manage the entirety of the publishing process. That was 20 years ago. Fast forward to now, here we are. But I still run Snowbooks, and I still publish just a few books, the ones that really, really speak to me and leap out. And in fact, this looks so much like a promotion, doesn't it? But this is the book that we're going to be editing with a review today. And the review that I've got is a really nice one from a magazine called The Quietus. So let's just scroll down here. They did a big kind of feature of the author, Steve, and they name-checked the book. That's absolutely fantastic. And so within here, we're not going to put this whole thing in, but we are going to snick out a bit of the text, and then we're going to put it into Consonance, and then we're going to allow that to go out in ONIX. So I'm going to take this last paragraph before this article gets into the reviews. I'm going to pick through this, later and really try and get the most out of it. But for now, I've got that on my pasteboard, and I'm going to go to the metadata page where all metadata lives. I am going to click on marketing to jump me right down to that part of the page. I could also have typed marketing in here, and that would jump me and filter out the page so I only see my marketing areas. But I am going to do it that way, and I'm going to see that, gosh, I've already got 11 review quotes in. That's really exciting. But here comes another one. So I'm going to add a marketing text. What type of marketing text is it? Well, if I start typing review, I've already got 4 options here. I've got review quote, seems plausible. I've got review quote for the previous edition, a review quote for the previous work, and the review full text. Now that last field is deprecated. It's only available in ONIX 2.1 anyway, because what we're really trying to do here is sell books. So we're not just splurging the whole of the text onto the internet. We're picking out the bits that are most compelling, most likely to resonate on other people's systems. So I'm going to choose review quote because this review is for the current version of the book that I'm looking at here. And once I've clicked that, I've got an empty box where I can paste that in. So I'm going to paste in my information here, and now I'm going to start editing it a little bit to make it appropriate. And if I paste this in as it is, it doesn't quite make sense. First of all, I'm going to get rid of that last bit there. But I'm also going to clip out some of the words within this sentence that make it sound a little bit odd. So I'm going to cut out the word with and replace it with an ellipsis. And I'm also going to cut out it is no wonder. So the full text will read, such a fertile mind, Aylett has produced so many works of exceptional quality. And instead of just using a ... there, I'm going to do square brackets and 3 dots in the middle. And you can see over on the right here, we're previewing. Consonance is trying to preview what this might look like on other people's websites. When I put in that final dot, you're going to see that over here we've got square brackets and 3 dots, fine. Over on the left hand side, what Consonance has done is actually put in some escape characters. And that's because we're storing information here in the text format called Markdown. Markdown is not an invention of Consonance or the team here. Markdown is a type of data format that reduces error. It reduces the size of the text. It is a kind of a lingua franca so that other computers know exactly what we're talking about when we submit data in the Markdown format. It means that whatever you paste in here, Consonance is going to be able to do its best job of turning it into valid HTML so that we can send out valid HTML to your trading partners in ONIX. And one of the reasons for doing this is if you copy and paste from a Word document, Word has a lot of junky HTML tags under the hood that you might not normally see. And there's quite a high chance that you might introduce all sorts of clutter into Consonance, which then we would innocently pass on, and your trading partners might not thrive as a result. So Markdown is a really good idea to achieve what we're trying to achieve here, which is certainty that what we're all sending to your trading partners is what you intend to send. So, you know, the 3 bits of information on this page, we now have the raw Markdown, we have Consonance escaping any Markdown characters, we've got a preview over here, and we've also got the HTML that has been interpreted. And you can see it's HTML because we've got a p tag and then a closing p tag. We can cover, if you're interested in me covering what HTML means to us in the publishing industry, then I'd be delighted to spend several long live stream hours talking about that. But for now, I wanted to show you that if you want to introduce these square brackets, a ... and another square bracket to indicate that you've snicked some text out, then that is what's going to happen. We can also add in some further metadata about this review. All of this is optional, and I can rely on my help text here to know what we mean by the text in this particular box. I can add in the publisher who is the quietest. I can put that URL in, which is great. I can put in any other information as well, and I can optionally say, well, it's only relevant to one or other of the products. But that's not the case here, so I'm going to save, and there's our review quote ready to go. I might just draw the difference for you whilst we're here between a review quote and an endorsement. And I mean, I know I'm waving my books around now, and by all means buy several or more copies. But if you look on the front of a book, oftentimes you'll have the quotes that you will have achieved by sending proof copies out to notable people who may want to provide a few lines of endorsement. And the clue is there. These things that we're seeing here are endorsements. They're not review quotes. So if you have emailed a luminary, as we see here, and if they have kindly provided some words, then put those down in Consonance as endorsements, and then we're going to be able to send those out with the correct tags around them. So that is adding a review into Consonance, and as I say, it's one of the sorts of data that does change over the course of the book's life cycle. Sometimes if you're going to be using reviews on advanced information sheets or in other areas, you might want to put the latest reviews to the top of that list. So these are sortable. You can drag and drop these endorsements and reviews and all of the other marketing texts as well. And you can copy them to get them out of the system in an email if that's what you've been driven to. So that is enough for now on reviews. We will be coming back to this page in future live streams because we've got some interesting things coming up. But for now, let's go back and see what's next on our list. We've done our task of the week. Very good. Next up, we are doing our reporting spotlight. And I thought this week I would start to dive into some of the real powerful strengths in the new reporting feature that Consonance has shipped this year. In fact, we've probably been looking at it, haven't we, since maybe the middle of last year. We've been shipping little and often against this feature, and now it's really getting a kind of a critical mass where there's a lot of fields that can be searched on, a lot of ways that can be searched. We're adding to it all the time. The team is working extremely hard to keep adding relevant and useful reports as we go, particularly in the light of unfolding industry pressures. So more on this in future weeks again. But for today, what I'm going to talk about is achieving this particular challenge that I think we've all been on the receiving end of. So imagine this email, if you will. Your big boss emails you and says, "Hello, can you get me a list of all of our out-of-print publications? We are going to want to keep some of them in print digitally. Thank you, by 3 o'clock, please." So you think, okay, this can't be that bad. What do I need to do? And you look carefully at the email again and you read it again. A list of all of our OOP publications. So you're thinking, well, I mean, these things are always so imprecise, aren't they? List, I think we can cope with. I think this big boss is hoping for a list of works, since they say OOP publications, as opposed to products. That doesn't make sense, does it? It must be works, because we're going to want to keep them in print in some sort of format, and the format they're thinking is digitally. So let's just try and think what they're actually asking. And I think what they're asking in full is, get me a list of works that don't have an active or forthcoming product. Because these are the ones that we might want to spark up an ebook for to keep in print. So out of all of the products on a particular work, so, you know, say the work is this one. I really am promoting it very well today, aren't I? Available in all good bookstores. All of the works that don't have an active or forthcoming product. So if this is the work and it's the paperback product of the work, there might also be an audiobook, there might be a hardback, there might be an EPUB. So what we want to do is check that out of any of those products, none of them are active or forthcoming. And those are the ones that we will want to send back to the big boss to say these might benefit from an ebook. So how are we going to do that? We might just think, okay, well, let's use Consonance to do a report of inactive products, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But the trouble is we're working here at work level. So a list of just the inactive products doesn't really get to the heart of the matter. It's a great start. Let's have a look. So this is and I'm doing this on PowerPoint so that I can talk and type at the same time. Don't have to. So this is a report, and we're looking for product status that doesn't include forthcoming and active. Now already this is quite an interesting one. This is a negative search. Include none of forthcoming or active. We could have gone include products with a status of withdrawn, out of print, no longer our product, cancelled, no status. And there's a really, really long list of all of those statuses that could be interpreted to mean not active. So sometimes it is a lot easier to do a negative search because there are fewer options to choose there. So, and it's got us somewhere. We've got this list of products because I've gone to my display and I've chosen a list of products. A list of products, and none of these statuses can be interpreted to be forthcoming or active. And we could click on them and we would see that there's some cancelleds in there and some withdrawn from sales and so forth. And if you do, when you're not in PowerPoint, if you do click on these, then it'll show you all of the ONIX information about this particular publishing status. So that's great. That's our inactive products, but it's not going to go far enough, because when we look at the works view, the works list, for that same search, we are going to get some works that might have other products that are active. Because we start at the product level, we search for products, we go up to the work and then down to all the products. And so it's not a safe search to run. And sure enough, Cats Throughout History here, which appears on this list, it's on the list because one of the products is indeed out of print, but there are other products that have an active or a forthcoming status. So that's why doing this sort of starting point search isn't going to get us the list of works that don't have any products that are live or that are active or forthcoming. So what are we going to do? Again, this is our challenge. What are we going to do? So here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to run a report to get the active and forthcoming products. We're kind of going to start with that positive view, because in a minute I'm going to show you we're going to be able to use that as an input to a further search. So the first thing to do is get a list of the active and forthcoming products. And here we are, we've got all of these, we've got 49 results here, and the global publishing status is a lovely green 04 active status. If we were to click on one of those, we would see the ONIX information there says it's active. So that's fine, and we've saved that report as active or forthcoming products. So we've saved it as safe. Then what we're going to do, we're going to use that search to search for works which do not have an active or forthcoming product. So this is the clue up here. This is a new report. We've called it works not having active or forthcoming products. And the conditions are, this is a works search, not in any of the search that we just made, active or forthcoming products. And then, happy days, we get the works that omit those original results from the search. So it's a real, it makes your head go, okay, what am I actually trying to do here? But it's really, really powerful and really exciting to be able to do these sort of searches, save them as well, so that you have to think once and then, not come back and have to rethink on a Friday afternoon. And then this is the result. So looking at the products list on that report, none of the products are active or forthcoming. Very good. This is our column here, 09, 05, 07. Very good. And none of the products on the works are active or forthcoming. So that is how we do that, and we can get that straight back to the big boss. And that's one less manual task that we have to do. And it really comes into its own when you've got a list of 15,000 rather than just 49. So it's really great to set these reports up, perhaps even ahead of time. Definitely save them. And if you're faced with a challenge that feels a little bit like this, absolutely hop on our help desk, send us an email, and we'll send straight back to you what you should do. And then you can save it for future reference. Because when we've been very practiced at these complex queries, and they're real time savers. So, and we are here to help. So definitely, I just wanted to give you a kind of a flavour of what you can do. You can absolutely tinker with this yourself, but the moment you get stuck, just wave your hand and we'll send you back a useful query. So that is that's quite enough, I think, for one day of power queries. And we'll do some more. If you wanted me to talk through some real specific ones on these live streams, definitely send us a ticket or do a comment or whatever the appropriate method of communication with us might be. So we've looked at this week's reporting spotlight. Fantastic. Now we are going to hoik a ticket out of the pile from the last week. From our own correspondence, and this week we are going to look at this very popular question, and you know how it goes. The worst case is the author emails you and says, I don't see my latest product on Amazon, why haven't you got it up? And you think, well, it's meant to have gone out in ONIX, that this has meant to have just magically automatically worked. Why do I have to go and see whether it's gone out in ONIX or not? So sometimes it's really nice to be able to control this visibility of your data for yourself. And if you just want to be reassured that something has gone out in ONIX, then we're going to step through the ways to do that today. And again, I'm going to use my real life account on Consonance to look at this, because at any of the demo accounts I use, of course, I don't send information out in ONIX. So this is the benefit of having a very real, very important, very live account on Consonance that I can share with you. And so let's have a look at this this important book to me. Let's see if it's all going out in ONIX in the way that we hope it is. For peace of mind. And it's all exposed through the interface. There's no sort of secret techie thing we do to interrogate it. You can do this without having to raise a ticket, without having to email us or anyone. It's all there for you. So I am going to go on this work. I am going to go to Data Exchange, which is over on the right here, and I am going to click on ONIX dashboard. I've said new because we changed the layout when we changed the interface a little bit. But this information has been around for quite a long time, because it's really at the core of what Consonance does. Making sure that you've got a beautiful place to put your information, but then there's no use it just being in Consonance. The whole point is that we can send it out widely so that we all have a chance of selling more books or getting more books in front of people. And so this is a summary of what has been sent to who, in what format. And I can immediately see that, all of the usual suspects who Snowbooks sends information to, they're all listed here really nicely. And I can see that that's true for the trade paperback, and it's true for the ebook on this particular work. And your page will look pretty different to this, because every client of ours has a different set of recipients that you send information to. But there are some usual suspects, especially for a UK publisher. We've got Bibliographic Data Services doing an amazing job of disseminating data in a very, very reliable manner. We've got Bowker, who everyone around the world will have heard of. We've got Nielsen as well, who we have a direct feed to, and a few other usual suspects as well. There's the distributor as well. So at a glance, I've come to my Data Exchange ONIX dashboard. Nothing looks too techy at the moment, which is reassuring. I'm not having to look at XML or complicated information. I can absolutely see that data has gone to these people, but I can absolutely drill down further to understand a little bit more about, well, exactly what went and when and how. So what I'll do, I'll have a look at BDS and I will click to see when they last got information. Now, we don't just sort of drip feed tiny bits of information to recipients on the whole. We do for some, but on the whole, we batch up all of your information into one XML file as the recipient prefers. Some of them can get quite chunky, quite a few megabytes there. And when it says the number of fragments, that's how many products are actually included in that file. And we're going to be able to click and actually see that XML file if you want. We're also going to be able to see the number of products included. And we're going to be able to see whether the transmission was successful as well. And so, if something happened the day before the 1st of May and you're really expecting it to have gone, then seeing a lack of a successful transmission, that is very useful information. So immediately, I'm able to start making inquiries. But if no data had changed and if we were expecting this regular feed to go, which it seems to have done, and this one has been successful, then, clicking on this row is going to show me a little bit more information about what exactly happened. And, this is an ONIX 2.1 legacy feed to start with, so that's a bit of a clue as to, something that you might want to look at. And then we've got, the link to the contact record of the recipient as well. We can take all of the 471 products that are included in this ONIX file, and we can take them over to the reporting area. So clicking on that report button, fantastic. I don't need to add anything to a batch, or I don't need to do a further search. I can just get those exact 471 products and I can see them in a report. So that can be really, really helpful if that's what you're trying to do, trying to see who, BDS just got a load of products, you want to eyeball them, click on that button and go and have a look. But maybe we'll do that in a bit, but the thing I really wanted to show you was some information in the file batch. So here we have a link to the file batch name, and this is like a template. When you talk to us about, we've got an exciting new data recipient, can you set us up, can you help us configure the feed to them, then this is the sort of thing that we will set up. So it's like a template, and every time a file goes to this particular recipient under the terms of this template, these are the settings that kind of get stamped out. So what do we see here? Got some useful, interesting stuff. We've got the transfer template, which contains some of the authentication. We've got how many files were included, just the one for this, but there might have been content files as well. There might have been multiple XML files or ONX files, depending on how BDS wants to take it. And then we've got some useful links here. So how many products are in the batch, any errors, and this is a great place to have a look and think, oh gosh, right, well, no ISBN, that's why this product hasn't gone out successfully. And then you can see if there's any revised ONIX changed. Here, we haven't actually changed any data. This is just an incremental feed that goes out just to make sure that data is being topped up for them. But then, scrolling down, we can see any funny reasons why ONIX was not generated. This one didn't go because there's no ISBN, there's no product form, and there's no pub date. So, completely appropriate that it shouldn't go out in ONIX. But this gives you the insight into why and whether something went or not. So that's really useful. Going back to that original file though, the absolutely brilliant thing that gives you so much power and agency is to look at these transmissions, this transmission tab here. because this is the actual recording of what happened when Consonance attempted to connect to the third party, attempted to send your data, and then close down the connection. And so if we click on this transmission ID here, we're going to be able to see that on the 31st of March at 1:34 in the morning, Consonance attempted to connect, and it looks a bit programmy, a bit techy, and it kind of is. It's the log file of what happened on this when Consonance phoned up Bibliographic Data Services and tried to send it a packet of data. So we can see, we connected, we changed directory to where BDS want us to send data. We started uploading this file and we streamed it. That's what this is. It wrote little packets of information over the wire, bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. And then as we scroll down, we changed the covers directory to put any covers there. We changed to the ebooks directory, and then we closed. So, I know it's a bit, monospace fontish, but it is so reassuring and so powerful to be able to say, well, you say that you never got a feed from us, but I can see right here that at 1:35 and 3 seconds in the morning, we successfully, transmitted data to you. So please look again. Because all of this, it's all about agency, isn't it? It's about having the control of your own processes and being able to dip in and see what's what without being beholden to anybody else's timescales and anybody else's ability to interpret the information. So I expect you don't often come into these sort of dark weeds of corners of Consonance, but I really like it because it gives me insights and that gives me power and allows me to to fix any problems, and by problems I mean other people's software. So that is a really nice thing to share amongst your team if you ever really want to get to grips with understanding who's got your data, when and where and why. So let's have a look back on our list of things that we're looking at today. We have looked at whether things go out in ONIX, and now we're going to look at what's new. And I'm going to show you something today that hasn't been shipped recently. It's not new in that sense, but I've never actually spoken about it, I don't think, on a live stream or a video, and it's fairly new. So I will introduce you to the acquisition section of Consonance, and in particular the area called plans. So I'll just find that on my screen, and we don't need to do this one live. I don't think we can use my demo account, Feline Press, back into the world of the imaginary. So plans live in the project management area, and you can see we've actually got a beta flag on it at the moment, because there's plenty more features that are bubbling away in development that we would really like your input on before we commit to shipping them. So what I really hope we're going to be able to do today is for you to see this, perhaps for the first time. Maybe it'll get some thoughts flowing, maybe some requests for, yes, this is fine, but can we do X, Y, and Z? So we will have a look at what we're sharing with you at the moment. Definitely let us know if it sparks some further ideas. So I'm going to click on plans, and I go to a page, and I've got a couple of plans here. One is the Spring Summer 2025 plan, and this other one is called the CATS series plan. So you'll notice that we're not at the work level. In Consonance, plans can cover more than one work, and within that they can cover all or some of the products on those works. So you can do an ebook only plan across a whole series or across a whole season or across a whole anything, really. You can pick whichever works you're interested in. Or you can do a plan in the kind of more traditional way, a single level, like title P&L, they would call it. We've been keen not to use the word P&L because the things that we use in publishing are not P&Ls. They, at the absolute most, produce a figure that is a margin contribution towards the P&L of the overall company. But there are so many costs that are real, true, meaningful costs that we don't habitually include in a title P&L. The cost of rent and payroll and that sort of thing. So we've decided to call them plans instead, but they are effectively the same sort of thing as we all understand a P&L to be in publishing. How many books are we going to sell? What money does that mean? Are we going to be subject to returns? And what are all these things going to cost, such as editorial origination, production, other costs, royalties, rights, and so forth. And as is traditional in these plans, you're going to be able to pad the thing out with imaginary rights deal revenue, just to get that number at the bottom to go to a reasonable level. With great power comes great responsibility. If you're going to try and do forecasting, you have to think, what is the purpose of this? And am I sticking to the spirit of that purpose? So anyway, let's have a look at Kat's series plan. And I've set this up so that there is nothing in it at the moment, so that we can step all the way through this and we'll see what a plan means in Consonance. So on this first page, works and channels, we can choose channels and we can choose our plans. And the brilliant thing about this is that the channels that we're going to be able to choose are exactly the same as the channels that you will upload sales transaction data into. They're exactly the same as the ones that we put on the contract to say what our royalty rates are going to be. When we say Consonance is one version of the truth, that is exactly what we mean. There is one notion of a thing called home trade channel within Consonance. And so when we start using this for plans, we kind of magically get everything else for free. We get all of the sales that are uploaded having been achieved in home trade, so that's how we can do actuals. We get all of the royalty rates, and so on and so forth. So it's really nice to be able to extend your existing use of data in Consonance and to make it ever more meaningful. So I am going to choose just home trade at the moment. I could have added home gratis as well, and this is a demo account. Normally you would see many more channels here, and they kind of equate to the places where you sell your books. So for every client in Consonance, this is going to be a bit different. You might use the word export, you might use home, you might say specific countries, you might actually use your distributor name, whatever is genuinely meaningful to you. And then the next option down on this page is works and products on the plan. And we can add one or more works, like I said. Let's do Cats Throughout History. And Cats Throughout History has a hardback, an ebook, a B-format paperback, and an audio file. We can choose all or none of these. It could be really nice to only do a plan for the hardback and see just how much of the overall origination costs the poor old hardback has to shoulder. But we'll choose all of them for now, and that should make for a slightly more interesting plan. And then we could add in more works, and that would be exciting as well. But just whilst we're stepping through this for the first time, we'll keep it straightforward. So those are my works and channels set up. And sort of psychologically, I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing a Cats Throughout History plan, and I'm just worrying about home sales for the moment. So on to saying what those sales might be. So I've chosen the sales forecast option at the top there, and I'm going to add those in. So click on Add Sales Forecast, and I've got my 4 products there that I've just selected. And as a bare minimum, what I need to do here is type in how many of each I think I'm going to sell. And then, unless you defined it in the metadata, I'm also going to want to say what currency am I going to sell that in and what price, because this should be done before acquisition. And so at this point, it is completely plausible that you won't have added in all of your currencies into the metadata page. We always recommend, the moment you think you might publish something, add in the absolute bare bones of that into Consonance. And then you never get to that stage where you've got some of the information on spreadsheet, some on a post-it note, quite a lot in your head, and all of the rest on email. If you just make sure that you have, all of the information going into this one version of the truth, then things get a lot less likely to get confusing. So at this early stage in this product's life cycle, I'm going to say, sure, I'll sell 250. And I will do that in GBPs, and the list price, maybe 25. And, at this stage, it's quite nice to sort of think, you're sort of imagining the story of the publication timeline. You're thinking, yeah, £25 for the hardback, that's great. And then, maybe after 3 months, or maybe simultaneously, we'll do the paperback as well. So it's quite a, I find it quite a sort of pleasing little story to write in my head as I go. And then I think, oh yeah, but we'll start with the hardback and we'll get loads of reviews for that, and then we'll sell 5,000 copies of the EPUB. That'll be absolutely fine. It's going to be that straightforward because the list price will be $1.99, and then we might want to drop that further. The B format paperback, I'm still printing. I do a lot of print on demand, but I am still printing litho runs, and so these forecasts do tend to make me think I'm going to do 1,000, because any less and it's going to get really expensive at the unit rate. And $9.99, sure, why not? And then the audio file, slightly less secure in how many I think I'm going to sell. It's going to cost me a lot to produce the thing, so hopefully 500, and to do that, and I'm going to try and get a lot of money for it, $4.99, not sure. So yeah, anyway, you put in your basic framework of how many units you think you're going to sell and at what price. But you'll notice there's a whole bunch of other fields, and I don't have to fill them in, because remember I said these channels are the same thing as exists elsewhere in Consonance. Well, over in the settings area, we can set up all of these defaults. So for this particular channel, the Consonance knows that the usual discount is 55%, and the usual distribution charge is 20%, and the sales agent take 20%, and the rough royalty is 10%, and it's usually net receipts, and so on and so forth. This channel template doesn't seem to have returns rate though, so at this point I might say, oh, gosh, well, will I get lucky and only have a very minor returns rate? Let's hope. And then some other information about how much it's going to cost to pulp the things and get commissionable sales, what percentage is that? So yeah, so a lot of boilerplate can be set up in advance, and then when you come to do the plan, all we're doing here is bunging in the quantity. So I'm going to save that, and already, if I was to sneak a peek at the report, that's going to be producing some really interesting and meaningful numbers. I will just sneak a peek actually, because it's quite good fun. If I look at report, all I've done is enter the units, but Consonance has taken all of those other numbers from the template and has come up with a number, a revenue number. So here, like this one that we said we were going to sell 250 units, at that price, with that discount, that's going to equate to £2,800. So I mean, it's not difficult maths, but it's really nice to have it done as quickly and efficiently as that. Oh, the wind just blew the window open. Sorry about that. So scrolling down, that's the revenue. And then we can also see that some of the variable costs will have gone up. So, we saw that there's royalties, a usual royalty rate on sales in this channel. There's sales commission and distribution charges as well. And so Consonance has, just done some easy maths and has taken what we think we're going to sell and has said, well, this is the cost that will be attached to that. So if you've ever had to do a P&L for acquisition, this will be very familiar. Sales at the top, variable costs taken off. We're going to be adding some fixed costs as well, which is the cost of print, like what will we have to spend even if we don't sell any copies. Whereas the variable costs are each time we sell a copy of the product, we're going to incur an associated cost. So let's go back to our costs forecast now and put in those fixed costs. And again, this is money that we are definitely going to have to spend, even if we never sell a single copy. And it's the cost of producing the books in the first place. So let's click edit. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could write down here. These options here, you can write in and ask us to set up exactly what your categories are here. I've got a big sort of catch-all editorial origination kind of a thing here, and a big print and bind thing as well. But whatever you normally see, however you normally categorise your costs, we can replicate that exactly within Consonance. So that's good to do. And then we can either have a one-off cost or a per unit cost. So let's guess, prices these days. Let's guess that the unit cost for the hardback is going to be £1.95. It's still over £1 for paperbacks these days. And then let's guess that we've got a credit note from the other people and it's not going to cost us anything. This is a happy day on a demo account. So now if we go back to the report, we've got some of these costs in. Again, Consonance just doing the easy job of taking the numbers that you've put in and aggregating them up in a way that makes sense. So that's it really. Rather than doing this on Excel with its unvalidated data and the fact that it's kind of a separate system, divorced from your normal system where you keep information, maybe consider using Consonance for planning, maybe just for some of your lead titles, maybe at the series level, and then see how it goes. Ask us for any feature development. Coming soon will be seeing actuals on the report here, and scenario analyses as well. That's all ready to go, but we would really like to hear from you as to what's working, what's not. So that is plans in Consonance. And if we have a quick look back at our list of things that we were looking at today, we have covered off plans, going backwards. We've covered off, has this gone out in ONIX? We've covered off using the incredible reporting feature to do some really powerful reporting. And we've also done the task of adding a review. So that is it for this week. I am going to look forward to seeing you again next week. Definitely like and subscribe, as they say. But more importantly, drop us a line, drop me a line, drop the support team a line, and let us know what you would like to be covered, either on this rather, long form live stream, or in a 3-minute little video, or on a private video that is only relevant for your own data. Very happy to sketch out ideas for you and instructional videos for you on how to achieve some of the gnarlier tasks that you have to do. But you know, we're going to be adopting the same structure for next week. We will be looking at a task of the week, another exciting report in the spotlight. I'll look forward to seeing what comes in on the help desk so that we can share one of those, and then we'll be talking about what's new, and we've got some really exciting options coming up to show you actually, so I shall look forward to sharing. So see you next week.